Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of New York Giants Football Talk. I'm Kenny K, and I'm here with my good friend Paul, and always my co-host on this show. And we got some exciting news. It's Super Bowl week. Unfortunately, the Giants have been out of it for over a month, maybe close to 2 months now. But got some exciting news in New York Giants land, and got a nice little fun Super Bowl show. Bring back some past memories and all, Paul. So with that being said, let me ask you how you're doing this evening, Paul, and how's your week been?
Good, doing well. Things are going okay, and looking forward to the show tonight. Hi, everybody. Hi, Mr. Kenny Kirkpatrick, co-host extraordinaire, and ready to have some fun tonight.
Absolutely. So, like I said, we got Super Bowl week coming up, Paul. You and I came up with a nice little agenda. You got some Super Bowl stuff for us, but might as well get right into the news of the day for the Giants. Just broke a couple hours ago. Finally, after a long search, after Wink Martindale and Brian Dable's divorce, we finally hired our defensive coordinator. And, Brian Dable's getting his second marriage now. And it's former Titans defensive coordinator, Shane Bowen. And I'll ask you the simple question, Paul. Do you like the hire?
I like the hire. Obviously, many of us do not know uh, uh, Shane Bauer. Certainly not as much as some of the defensive coordinators we hear on a week-to-week basis. But in doing a little research before the show tonight, he's been with he was with the Titans for 6 years. He was the defensive coordinator for three, and looks like one of his strengths is having defenses that stop the rush. Uh, in 21-22, the Titans were one of the best teams, top five teams in stopping the running attacks, especially in the tough AFC South. And you know, the Giants' defense, as much as you and I both like Wink, their defense, if there was a issue with the defense, was their stopping the run. And if he can come in and stop the run for the Giants and elevate them and stopping the run against especially teams like the Cowboys and Eagles, then hey, it's a good hire. The other thing is, in doing some of the research, he had a pretty good uh, attack rushing the passer. A couple of years ago, they had 43 sacks, which was ninth in the league. The Giants have not had that great a pass rush. Uh, Kayvon was good this year, but interestingly enough, in 2021, they had three players on the Titans with 8 sacks, and that was the only team in the NFL with three players with 8 or more sacks. So if they can generate a really good pass rush and stop the run, hey, maybe it'll be a really good hire for the Giants.
Yeah, you nailed every point that I was gonna make about him. Stopping the run. Uh, I like the fact that what I like is I like Mike Vrabel, and he didn't get fired from Tennessee from Mike Vrabel. They let Mike Vrabel go. Brian Callahan's bringing his own
Mhm.
staff in, and that's expected. So I think this guy
Great
is
point.
an under the radar hire, and I like it because we didn't like I was saying to myself all day today, we were going to originally talk about who our next defensive coordinator can be. That was our original
Hmm.
agenda. But like I said a couple hours ago, I was nervous that we were going to hire Jerome Henderson because if you're
Hmm.
going to hire within, it should have been immediately. And it didn't happen immediately. So I was like, man, what is going on here? If we end up hiring Jerome Henderson, that
Yeah.
could be maybe a mistake. Maybe he's not ready to be a defensive coordinator. Let him do his job as our secondary coach,
Hmm.
and let's see what Mr. Shane Bowen can do.
Yeah.
It's an under the radar move, and I think one that was necessary by the Giants. You don't want to bring in a big name and say, "Oh, we got Mike Vrabel as our defensive coordinator," and then that puts the pressure on Dable, and Vrabel's sitting in the wings to be an interim coach if the Giants fail. You don't.
Exactly.
I like this move. I think it's an under the radar move, and I think it's the appropriate move and a good one, in my opinion. There's Eddie
Yeah.
saying, "I thought we were waiting for the Chiefs linebacker coach,
It's who said that?
Mr. Eddie Murphy."
Oh, he's right on spot on point, Mr. Murphy, as usual. In fact, I was just about to say, I thought maybe the Giants were waiting because Brandon Daly, obviously the linebackers coaches, Eddie astutely said, with the Chiefs playing in the Super Bowl, of course, they wouldn't have been able to hire him until after the Super Bowl. But I guess they felt with the background that Shane Bowen had as defensive coordinator, they wanted to go with him. So listen, let's see what happens. Let's
Hey,
see what happens with
it's a
this.
step up because it's also a small market team. Now he's going to a larger market. So we don't know too much about him because Tennessee is a smaller market. They're not on TV that much around our areas.
Mhm.
So it's an under the radar move, and let's hope it works out. Uh, Anything else with the coordinators, Paul?
No, I think it's a work in progress. I think there is some talent on all levels of the defense, and let's see if he can utilize them and give the Giants something that maybe as much as we liked Wink, they didn't have with Wink, and now of course they're moving on.
Paul, I'm going to jump ahead. We were going to save this for later, but since Mr. Murphy's in the chat, we got something for you, Eddie. Well, Paul has something for you. Uh, I'm going to bring him in. I threw Paul out for a second there by mistake.
I've
Uh,
been thrown out of better places in my time.
but Paul has something very special for you, one of his wonderful parodies, and I'll let him take over and tell you what he's got for you there, Ed.
All right, Eddie, listen, you've been asking me, where's my song parody? And I promised that I would do one for you. It took a while. I had to think about it. What would be a proper song for our good friend Eddie Murphy, a good friend of our K&K show. So what I'm doing now is stalling because Eddie, if you want to get your wife, your kids, whoever you want, your grandmother, your grandfather to listen, I'm stalling and giving you some time. So uh, I thought about a song, and it was about a week ago that I finally said, "All right, this is going to be a good song." And ironically, um, as you know, I'm older than dirt, and I was around 60 years ago when the Beatles made their debut in New York on the Ed Sullivan Show. And if you don't know who the Ed Sullivan Show was, ask your mother and father. And um, on Thursday the 9th would have been 60 years. So, ironically, I thought of this song for you, and I hope you like it. And I think it's pretty good. So, without further ado, it's to the tune of Yesterday. All right, ready, Eddie? Yesterday, Eddie Murphy listened to K&K. Now he's our friend and he's here to stay. Oh, Eddie believes in K&K. Suddenly, Eddie's not the Giants fan he used to be. Daniel Jones's shadow hanging over me. Oh, yesterday came for Eddie to see. Why'd Eli have to go? I don't know. He wouldn't say. Eddie screamed, something wrong. Now he longs for yesterday. Yesterday. Giants football was such an easy game to play. Now Eddie needs a place to hide away. Oh, Eddie believes in K&K. Why'd Eli had to go? I don't know. He wouldn't say. Eddie screamed, "Something's wrong." Now he longs for yesterday. Yesterday. Giants football was such an easy game to play. Now Eddie needs a place to hide away. Oh, Eddie believes in K and K. Mm, 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 mm. That goes out to you, big guy.
Yeah, great job, Paul. I got some comments I want to read before we continue.
Thank you.
Keith Brugman, Denver Bronco Roundup. I was on their show yesterday. We did a little game show version. We'll have to do one on ours. I
Oh,
told Kurt we're going
nice.
to do a little K and K game show night. Good evening, gentlemen. Time for the best Giants podcast around right here on the K and K Sports Show. It's great. We got the thank you for those kind words, Keith. And you guys
Thank you,
got the best
Keith.
Bronco show out there, and keep up the amazing work. You can catch Keith, Trevor, Jody, and Albert Tuesday nights for the original show. Friday nights, Keith and Trevor. And then Sunday nights, sometimes it's the whole gang, sometimes it's bits and pieces. And you'll catch me on there joining them sometimes on Sunday nights as well. So check them out. Denver Bronco Roundup, 8 Eastern. I'm sorry, 9 Eastern. 9 Eastern on our end of the neck of the woods here. Denver Bronco Roundup, Rocky Mountain Sports Network. Some comments from Eddie. Wink was interviewing for Dallas job tomorrow.
Oh, interesting.
Eddie's laughing at the parody when you started it. He said, "You're from the caveman days."
Oh, thanks, Eddie. Oh, thanks.
He's also saying that it sounded like a bedtime lullaby.
Well, the song
was.
yesterday
It
is
was. And he's all
Yeah.
joking aside. He said, very nice. Albert saying hello, Denver Bronco Roundup. And Eddie
Hey,
saying
Albert.
I was dressed up for a wedding yesterday. I was the game show host, so I went with a suit and the classy shirt and dressed up for the occasion.
Nice.
Our good friend Coach Breslin saying, great job, Paul. What's up,
Oh,
guys?
thank you, Coach.
He's going to do the best he can to get on the show Wednesday, but he's traveling. May not have time to prepare a whiteboard session. He has 2 presentations this week, but would be happy to jump on the show. Yeah, Coach, whatever we can do, we'll give you some questions. It doesn't necessarily have to be a whiteboard. We can discuss the Super Bowl, whatever you'd like to do. We always welcome addition to our show, Coach. So whatever time you can put out for us, it's greatly appreciated. And again, more than welcome. So whatever we can do, we'll make it happen. That being said, Paul, let's move on to our next topic of discussion.
Okay.
I guess you could call this like a game show. This is simple for the audience and you. Scale of 1 to 10. I just put up the giant logos there from our history. Scale of 1 to 10. I'm going to start with quarterbacks, and we're going to play this. Jody Moncrief, by the way, saying, "What's up, fellas? Congrats on the new defensive coordinator." I'm hoping
Jody.
it's a good one. Hoping it's a good one. So we'll see if it turns into a marriage that's going to last. But
I gotta tell Jody something. But I'll do it in a couple of seconds.
All right. So basically, Paul, scale of 1 to 10. 10 being, I want this guy. All means Giants got to sign him. You're going to play the money into effect here too with your scale of 1 to 10. So everybody can't be a 10. You got to put the money into effect on what we have salary cap wise, or would it benefit us by signing him? So I'm going to we'll do quarterbacks first. We'll breeze through these pretty quick, and then we'll move on to another position. So we'll take like 15 seconds to 20 seconds on each player.
Okay.
I'll start with the quarterbacks. Daniel Jones is hurt. If we were to go bridge quarterback, Tyrod Taylor's a free agent. If we were going to go bridge quarterback, here's some veteran names that I'm going to throw out at you. First one, Ryan Tannehill.
I would say that's a 9.
A 9. So there's basically that's top of your list that you want him.
Yeah.
As your bridge. Okay. I'm a little lower. I'm about a 5. Albert saying, thanks for a great show last night. No, you guys put on the show. I just asked the questions. You guys were the stars, man, and your audience were stars too. So great job there. Jacoby Brissett.
He'd be about a 5 for me.
I'm going lower, Paul. 3. I'm not a fan of Jacoby. I wonder what Coach
Yeah,
Breslin thinks of Jacoby Brissett. He was
yeah,
his commander's backup. Uh,
right.
Eddie Murphy saying he heard today Giants may be interested in Hooker from Detroit if they sign Goff long term. That's
Wow,
interesting, Eddie.
that would be.
Because he needs to get a chance. At somebody. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
a low risk, high reward type of move there for sure.
exactly.
A couple more, Paul. Tyrod Taylor. You can explain why why you go in that number if you want.
I would say a 10. I mean, he knows the system. He obviously has capability. He showed it. He played well down the stretch. Once he got back from the injured list, I would give him a 10.
You know what, Paul? I'm with you. If we're going to go bridge quarterback and we don't, this is if we don't draft a quarterback in the draft
Hmm.
and we're going a veteran quarterback to either compete with Daniel Jones or just be that bridge until he comes back. This is the guy I want. I want Tyrod Taylor. He knows the system, like you said. He played well while he was in there. So I'll take Tyrod as my bridge and compete with Daniel Jones. I don't want Daniel Jones just getting the job when he comes back. I
Yeah.
want Tyrod to start the season, and if he's doing well, he stays the quarterback. Jody's saying 3 on Tannehill. Eddie Murphy saying 10 because Taylor knows the system and shows he can win. Absolutely.
Exactly.
I got 2 more. Gardner Minshew.
Yeah, I mentioned him a week or so ago when we were talking about free agent quarterbacks. I like the guy. I mean, he's not spectacular, but no matter where he's played, whether it's been Jacksonville or Philadelphia or certainly with Indianapolis, he comes in and does a decent job. I would give him a 7 or an 8 as a bridge quarterback.
I'm gonna go high 8, maybe even a 9. If it's not Taylor, I want
Hmm.
Minshew. I think
Yeah.
he would fit in Dable's system and do pretty good. We saw what he did with Shane Steichen, and he's an All-Pro this year.
Hmm.
So bring him over with Dable and compete with Daniel Jones. This is
Yeah.
the guy I think. If it's not Tyrod Taylor, this is the guy I want. There's Trevor. Hey guys, 2 legends that I see on the screen. Thanks again. He's thanking me for the help last night. It's my pleasure to be with you guys. You guys are awesome. Uh, and Eddie's saying bridge till they draft a new quarterback. Yeah, we could say that, Ed. Bridge
Yeah.
quarterback. If we don't draft one this year, who could be that bridge? And the last one for the Denver Bronco Roundup, guys. Drew Lock, Paul.
I don't know, 3 or 4.
I'll go a little
I'm
higher.
not.
I'll go 5, right down the middle. I would be
Hey,
okay with it. It's not the, oh my gosh, we got Drew Lock, and it's not like I'm gonna hate it. I'll go straight down the middle, 5, Drew Lock for the Giants.
okay,
So you're going Tyrod Taylor as your all-in guy. I'm going Tyrod Taylor as my all-in guy. My backup is Minshew. Your backup is Tannehill. You gave
exactly.
Tannehill a 9. Okay, let's move on to running backs. Eddie would bring in Baker, but after this year, he may get paid what we can't afford exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Jody's asking Russell Wilson.
No, we talked about that.
I would. I would.
I know you would.
I would because it's a low risk, high reward. And he would compete with Daniel Jones. If it doesn't work, you move on from Russ. If it
Yeah,
does work, you move on from Daniel Jones. You
yeah.
move on from one of them. And that's how I see it. So yes, I would. I think he's. I was on a site today, Jody, and I think he was the 3rd highest projected for this. I forget what site I was on. It popped up, and I was looking. Uh, uh, First is the Falcons, Steelers, Giants were 3rd. So
Can I just mention something to Jody?
sure.
Obviously, fellow Fighting Irish fan. I was on one of the groups that I belong to regarding Notre Dame, and they were trying to recruit Jody 2 players that we know very well. Well, 2 sons of players we know very well. Jerome Bettis Jr. and last name, second player, Burris, as in Plaxico Burris. His son is being recruited for Notre Dame, and both of them are
Wow.
wide receivers. Could you imagine having Jerome Bettis Jr. and Plaxico Burress' son as wide receivers for the Fighting Irish. So it
Pretty
won't be until
impressive.
2025, but something to think about, and maybe that'll happen.
All right, Paul, we're going to move
Okay.
on to running backs. So I did running backs. We're going to do a little differently. This is if the Giants don't bring Barkley back.
Okay.
So one of these five guys can be a 10, and one can be, but only one guy can be a 10. That's your all in. You could change your mind after the five, but
You
we'll
want to
start
give me
with
the five names
no, we'll
first,
do
or
one at a time, and then you
one
can
at a
change your
time?
mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tony Pollard.
Boy, I love Pollard. Right now, I'll do it. I'll do a 9.5 on Pollard. Right
I'm,
now.
Jody's saying he's seen that and he loves it about your Irish with the two guys, Burris
Oh,
and
okay.
Bettis Jr.
Yeah.
Pollard's a 10 for me.
Yeah.
I was, last year we had Barkley. We got, last year, obviously we had Barkley, and I was chatting with the Denver Kurt and Keith and the guys. Tony Pollard, I thought would have been the perfect signing for their Broncos. He didn't fit. They didn't use him right in Dallas this year, and he's a free agent now. If we don't bring Barkley back, that's my number. That's my 10 right off the bat. Trevor's saying keep an eye on Ryan Tannehill. Giants GM Joe Schoen was the director of player personnel with the Dolphins in 2014 when Tannehill was in Miami. Connections mean a lot in the NFL. Paul had him at a 9. I got him at a 5, Trevor. So Paul's definitely almost all in on him, closest to all in on him.
The other thing I heard that, I mean, you hear all these rumors and stuff that down at the Senior Bowl, Joe Schoen was talking with people, and people hear and pick up things that the Giants may really want to sign a veteran quarterback to bring in. So that doesn't mean it may not be Tyrod Taylor, but hey, like you say, the connections are everything in the NFL. So maybe it could be a guy like Ryan Tannehill or a Gardner Minshew.
Gotcha. So we're almost at both 2 10s there. You can move yours up to a 10 at the end.
Okay.
I'm going 10 right off the bat.
Okay.
Second one, Ezekiel Elliott.
Can I put 0?
You can put a 1. That's the one. That's
All
the
right.
0.
He's 1.
I'm gonna go 5 because I would love to stick it to Jerry Jones any way you can. And if you can bring Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard on the same team,
Yeah,
stick it
well,
into him. No, if it's one or the other, I'm going Pollard. I like Pollard. Zeke would be, all joking aside, more like a 3 for me. I said
yeah.
5, but more like a 3. Eddie Murphy, would you be surprised or upset if Giants got Rattler in the 3rd round? I like Rattler. I would be happy. A pleasant surprise would be for me.
You know who? Let me throw this name out that I was thinking about. And I read a story that he's rehabbing. What if the Giants took a flyer on Jordan Travis from Florida State, like a 4th, 3rd, 4th, 5th round pick? How about
That's when you
someone like
take it.
him? Yeah.
That's when you take those chances. So, if your draft is going well, and why not? If you didn't get a quarterback, why not take a chance? Here's Mark Calderio saying hello. Mark, we're doing some
Hey,
free
Mark.
agent scale of 1 to 10. Mark, we did Tony Pollard and Zeke Elliott so far, running backs. If Barkley doesn't come back, I got Pollard as a 10, meaning I'm all in, and Paul has him close to a 10. Paul has Ezekiel Elliott at a 1, and I got him at a 3, Mark. So that's catching you up. And our quarterbacks, Mark, Paul is all in. We're both all in on Tyrod Taylor as bringing our quarterback back. DeAndre Swift is the next guy on this list, Paul.
He started off with a big bang with the Eagles, and something happened. I mean, the whole offense crashed in Philadelphia. I'll say a 3 or 4.
I'm at a 5, right down the middle. I'm scared of his injury history.
Yeah.
And he, like I said, he fatigued a little bit towards the end last year. The whole Eagles team did in his defense, I guess. But I'm right down the middle, 5. It wouldn't bother me, and I might be, oh my God, we got that. So I'm right down the middle. Mark's with you. Mark's close to a 10 with Pollard, 9.5, and a 2 for Zeke. So he's right near us as well.
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy thinks the Giants need to find a Jacobs type back, then a speed back. Well, Eddie, you must be reading my mind because the next guy on this list, Derrick Henry, Paul.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of mileage on that chassis, as they say, but if he can come in and not have to be the redown back and maybe have him run first, second down, or every other series, and let him rotate with someone, I say a 6 or 7, in my opinion.
I'm going to go 7 as well. I would be happy with the signing. As like you said, you nailed it. If he's not the 3 down back, man, I seen him on those Pro Bowl games the other day. The guy's a beast,
Yeah.
He's the monster, the Brandon Jacobs type of back that Eddie would say, and then we could bring in a speed back or draft a speed back even. So I would be okay with the move. Jody's saying Le'Veon Bell, he is trying to make a comeback.
Oh God.
Minus one.
Yeah, exactly.
Mark's with us, a 7 on Henry. I got one more running back, and then I'll do offensive line, and we'll end up with wide receivers on the offensive side of the ball. Keep it fun with the offense. Antonio Gibson.
I think he's been very underused by the Commanders. I think he's a very good back. I would also say about a 6 or 7 with Antonio Gibson. Very good third down back coming out of the backfield, good receiver. I like him a lot.
If we don't bring Barkley back, this is my backup to Pollard. So I'm at an 8 for Antonio Gibson. I do watch, and there's Coach Breslin. Giants need linemen. No back is any good without linemen. So I got some line. You know what, Coach? We're going to do offensive linemen now. There's Kurt saying, "What's up, boys?" Hello, Mr.
Hey,
Valenti.
Kurt.
We're doing some free agent discussion here. 6.5 for Antonio Gibson. I like Antonio Gibson. I think he would fit in the Giants perfectly if we can build our offensive line, which we have money to spend on offensive linemen. And I'll start, Paul. Tyron Smith, left tackle. Now, remember I said left tackle.
Yeah. Listen, what the Giants need, aside from left tackle, are good offensive linemen. You bring in 5 offensive linemen. The coach that they got, Carmen Basilico from the Raiders, let this guy do his magic. Bring in good offensive linemen and let them work magic. Shift him from left tackle to right tackle and let him do his thing.
Yeah, you know what? I'm a little lower on. Oh, you got more to say? I'm sorry.
No, I was going to just say I would probably about a 8 because he's a little long in the tooth at this point.
I want to catch up on the comments. I'm a little lower on Tyron Smith. Another one, injury history, and who's going to shift over to right tackle? We have our left tackle. I want a right tackle, and Tyron Smith might break up even the chemistry there. Like out of all our linemen, we have our left tackle in Thomas. We need the other positions. So I'm at like a 3 for Tyron Smith.
Okay.
Couple comments. Trevor, perfect replacement back to the running backs. I didn't put this guy on the list. I couldn't put them all. Josh Jacobs, 25 years old, has been 1,000-yard running back 3 out of the last 5 years. Problem with that, though, is he's going to cost close to Barkley money. And if the Giants have to address the offensive line and other needs, I think it's going to be a cheaper route that they go. Albert's replying to Kurt. The moon is up. 8 for Mark on Tyron. Antonio Smith's a good player. 8 for Antonio Gibson. Coach Breslin saying he's a good back, would be a good fit. Paul Estime, Jody, saying you like him, right, Paul?
Oh, I love Estime. I'm just very surprised they rank him very low in the draft. I've watched this guy for the last 2 years. He's He's powerful. He's fast. Once he's in the field, I never see him get caught from behind. He can catch the ball. He's a pretty good receiver. I'm just very surprised what scouts look for. It's just very surprising to me. I'll tell you, whoever gets this guy, Mark my words, he's going to be a player in the NFL.
I'm going to get to Kurt's question in a minute because Kurt, we touched on this at the top of the show, and I know you came in a little late, so I'll get your question in a second. Keith saying, get yourself running back Frank Gore Jr. He was the offensive MVP of the Shrine Bowl. Lots of money saved to address the O-line without Barkley. Frank Gore Jr., I watched him, Southern Miss. I didn't watch the Shrine Bowl, but I watched his career. I believe in pedigree, and you got your dad, who's going to be a Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely take a shot with Frank Gore Jr. Played for a smaller school, Southern Mississippi, so didn't get the national recognition. But as Keith just said, offensive MVP of the Shrine Bowl. So, I think he could be a sneaky pick for somebody in this upcoming draft, and hopefully it is the Giants, because I would welcome him and be very happy with that pick. Jody saying Smith was bad at right tackle in 2022. Trevor heard Saquon was a target for Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers if he had.
Yeah, I read that also.
Yep.
Yeah,
I agree. So Kurt's question, I'm gonna answer it, Paul, because we touched
go ahead.
on it. He heard two rumors today. Giants are going to get a vet to compete with Daniel Jones instead of rookies, and thoughts. So Kurt, we touched on 5 guys. We did a scale of 1 to 10 on who we think the veteran bridge can be to compete with Daniel Jones. Kurt, Paul, and I both like Tyrod Taylor to come back. Paul's second choice is Tannehill. Mine is Gardner Minshew as a vet to compete with Jones instead of if we didn't pick a rookie in the draft. Thanks for that question, Kurt. And
thanks, Kurt.
A couple more offensive linemen, Paul. Jonah Williams, Bengals, right tackle.
Good player. Very good player. Right tackle. Yeah, I mean, I think he would be an 8 or 9 as far as I'm concerned.
Jonah Williams is my 10. If you're, I want to get him away from the Bengals. He's protecting Joe Burrow. Get him over to protect our quarterback. But, it's going to cost because the Bengals need to protect Joey Burrow because he's been getting hurt. So it's going to be hard, but I would go all in on Jonah Williams. I like him. I think he's proven that he can block in this league, and we need offensive linemen.
Can I just
7.5?
Can I just say one thing? Ironically, if you remember going back to the 2021 playoff game between the Titans and the Bengals, the Titans sacked Joe Burrow 9 times. I don't know if it was the Titan defense or the bad offensive line for the Bengals, but in any event, maybe that's a harbinger of good things to come for the Giants.
Yeah. We'll do one more lineman so we could catch up a little bit. Connor Williams, the guard from Miami Dolphins.
Yeah. I always liked him. I would say about a 6.
I'm going to go 9. He's my second choice. I'm going with the Williams, Jonah and Connor. I think, Miami had a great offensive line this year, and Connor Williams was part of it. So get him away from Miami, and I'll be happy in our interior part of our line, blocking for, the run blocking, et cetera, et cetera. Let's go back to the wide receivers, and then we'll do a couple defensive players. So I got a good wide receiver bunch here for everybody. First one on the list, Mike Evans.
I have 2 ways to think. Obviously, the guy has been unbelievable, Hall of Fame statistics, great receiver. I'm just concerned that there's a lot of mileage on that chassis again, and he's starting to break down a little bit, starting to get some injuries. I'm just concerned that he'd come to the Giants and all of a sudden he's not the player that we need as a number 1 wide receiver. So I'm going to go about a 7 or 8 with Mike Evans.
I'm with you, right on target. 7 between 7 and 8. I would be happy with it. Wouldn't be my all-in target for wide receiver. Money's going to cost too much for me to spend there on Mike Evans. Next one, OBJ.
That ship has sailed, or should I say that yacht has sailed? No pun intended. If you get my drift, But no, I don't want him back.
I would go 5. I would go 5. Bring him back. I'd be happy. Right down the
Oh,
middle. You
yeah.
know, I'll be happy. You learned a lesson last time you were here. You gave us some good years, good catches. It'd be fun to watch him back in Giant Stadium. Mark's going 5 as well. Offensive lineman Cam Fleming. Paul, any
Mm,
thoughts?
not bad. Not bad. He'd be about a 6 or 7.
I'm going to go
But
7 on him as well.
yeah,
Trevor's saying an offensive tackle, J.C. Latham from Alabama,
yeah.
really impresses him. I may have him as the second best tackle in the draft. Elite in pass pro and run blocking. He's 6'6", 360, big body, very athletic, rare to find.
I don't want
He's
to.
projected early in the first. I don't want another Alabama
Yeah.
tackle.
I was just gonna, Kenny. You read my mind. I was just about to say the same thing. So anyway,
couple more wide receivers for you. They're good ones. Calvin Ridley.
he had some moments this year with the Jaguars. I listen. The guy has speed to burn. I would probably give him I would probably about an 8 at this point. He still has something to prove, but probably an 8. I would rate him as.
I'm gonna go a little lower. I'm gonna go about a 4.
Oh
He
wow.
started
Okay.
off hot. Yeah, I just don't know. I didn't see that flashiness towards the end of the season, and I thought there would have been more chemistry with him and Trevor
Hmm.
Lawrence, and
Right.
that team not getting into the playoffs was a total failure. So
Agree.
I'm not gonna go higher than what I'm going on Calvin Ridley because of that. Mark's got him at a 7, like you,
Okay.
close with you. T. Higgins, Paul.
Yeah. Here's the thing about T. Higgins. I love the guy, but is he a product of having Jamar Chase as the number one guy? And will he be able to step up as the number one guy if he comes to the Giants? Because that's what you want if you bring him in. So I'm not so sure he is that guy. I will give him an 8. But again, is it the product of having uh, maybe one of the top 1 or 2 receivers in the NFL as his running mate?
Yeah, I got to go 7, 8 with you. Uh, I think he could be, Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. You got a quarterback and a wide receiver that make you look good. So, do I want to spend all that money on him to be my number one when he's not even the number one for the Bengals? That would be my question. Last guy on the list, Michael Pittman Jr. from the Indianapolis Colts. 10 for Jody on T. Higgins and a
Oh,
6
really?
for Mark.
Okay. I like Pittman when he was first coming out of USC. I think he's a very good receiver. Not the burner, but if Jalen Hyatt can come back, can continue to progress, maybe a guy like Pittman uh, solidifies that second and third receiver. So yeah, he'd be. I'll tell you the truth. He'd be my number one, uh, 9 or 10 receiver that I would see bringing him in.
Yeah, this is my number 10. This is my 10 because it's not going to cost as much as Evans or as much as Higgins. He'll be the
Hmm.
third highest receiver on this list, probably.
Yeah.
And like you said, he's a good possession wide receiver. He's got good size. I think he would fit in Brian Dable's system.
Hmm.
And I think it could be, you know, Pittman can do very well here in New York and be a fan favorite uh, target, a fan favorite target, a fan favorite of ours, and a nice uh, favorite target for the quarterback.
Can I throw one out to
Yeah,
you? Gabe Davis from a guy that Brian Dable knows very well from Buffalo. He's a pending free agent.
I'll go 5. If I'm bringing in a wide receiver and we're not drafting one in the first round, that's what I should have said. We're not drafting a wide receiver here in the first round. I want one of these star proven receivers. Gabe Davis is another one that's not the number one wide receiver in Buffalo.
Hmm.
So if I'm not bringing T. Higgins as a top target, I can't bring Gabe Davis as one neither. I want the clear
Fair
number
enough.
one wide receiver if
Hmm.
I'm not going one in the draft.
Okay.
9 for Mark on Pittman, 10 on Pittman for Trevor, very young still, and would be a great deep threat for the Giants. And Trevor's also saying he could see the Giants trading down for Latham. He wouldn't take him at 6.
No. Oh God, no.
No, exactly.
Oh, that
All
would
right.
be an
Well,
overreach.
I got some defensive players for you to wrap this up. We'll do some defensive linemen, and then we'll end with some secondary. So, defensive edge rusher lineman. First one on the list is a big name, Chase Young.
I'm going about a 4. I heard something, read something. He's taking off plays with the 49ers. So I don't want a guy like that on my team.
If you asked me 2 years ago, I'd say 10.
Yeah.
Now he's about a 3.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Mark's got a 5 on Chase Young. Josh Allen, edge rusher from Jacksonville.
Yeah. I would bring him in. He'd be a 10. I think you put him opposite Kayvon, it'd be a home run. A 10 for me.
10 for me as well. Couple interior linemen, former Giants. You could just say you can also make these 10s if you want. I'll do 2 for 1 here. Jonathan Hankins, Linval Joseph.
Yeah, they're the same player basically. 3-4 years ago, either or. Right now, probably 2 or 3 on both of them.
I'd go 5 on both of them. I wouldn't mind bringing both of them back on a cheap deal, a cheap 1-year deal with some incentives. And I'd bring one of them 2 back to be a veteran on the defensive front there.
Mm-hmm.
Secondary, a couple names I got listed. We'll wrap this topic up, Paul. If we don't sign, or I'm going to throw him out there too. Fabian Moreau, the first one. Did we bring him back take him back? Denver he played well for Denver this year.
Yeah, listen.
This is assuming I forgot to tell you. I'm sorry.
Oh,
assuming we don't bring Adoree Jackson.
Adoree Jackson. Yeah, I was going to say. Yeah, listen. I think he proved himself. He was very, very good this year for the Broncos. I think the Bronco guys would know that better than us watching him every week. But yeah, I think he would be a good fit. Clearly, he's played with us. Yeah, I would bring him back. Maybe about a 5 or 6.
Yeah, I'm with you right there. About a 6 to 7 for me. Our good friend Clayton saying, "Hey guys, smash the like button and share. We love you, Clayton. Always appreciate you joining us on Giants. Clayton's a big Bronco fan, giving us the thumbs up. Appreciate you. We're just doing some free agent talk here, and then stick around. We're doing some Super Bowl memories. So we're not just doing Giant memories. You guys as Bronco fans can give us a Bronco memory. So we got that coming up. Denver Broncos for life, baby." He's saying. We allow Broncos fans in here. If you're a Cowboy or Commander or Eagles, Coach Breslin's allowed in here. But Cowboy and Eagles, I don't know if we'll allow those 2 in here. 2 more in the secondary, Paul. Kendall Fuller.
Pretty good player. I would say about an 8 or 9.
I'm going to go about the same, about a 7 on him. Because the next guy I got on here is my 10. A little cheaper, not much cheaper than Adoree Jackson, but he's going to be a little bit cheaper. Micah Hyde.
Yeah, he's a very good player. I would say probably a 9 or 10 for Micah Hyde.
If we lose Adoree Jackson, that would be the route I would go if we don't draft somebody to.
Mm-hmm.
If we went a veteran, Mark going 10 as well. Yeah, I think he would cost like $2 million. I think we'd get him probably $2 to $3 million cheaper, or you sign him for a multi-year deal on the cheap first year, and then increase his salary a couple years down the road. So that's how you can structure his deal too. Raiders and Chiefs fans aren't allowed either, saying Trevor. Fair enough. Fair enough. You want to throw any more free agents out, Paul, before we get on to our Super Bowl discussion?
No, you did a great job. Good segment, Kenny.
That was it took a little time, but I was happy we did. Good job, everybody.
Yeah.
All right, Paul, I'm going to pass it off to you. We got our Giants
All right.
Super Bowl discussion coming up. I'm going to put some pictures
Yeah.
up during this segment.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Bronco
Yeah.
guys. We might
I
lose
know.
Trevor and Jody and Keith and Albert in a minute, and Clayton. We
I
might lose half.
I
We might lose three-quarters of our audience right now.
I have my picture from Sports Illustrated behind me. I don't know if you guys can see it. I know it's tough to watch, but yeah, Super Bowl 21. That was the Giants' first Super Bowl. As a long Giant fan, going into from the mid '60s to finally get to the first Super Bowl and win it, it was amazing. You always, what do they say? You always remember your first. And for me, I'm wearing my LT jersey from the '86 season. Giants had a fantastic year, and it was just uh, as good as the Broncos were that year. The Giants just had something going that whole season. They wound up destroying the 49ers in the playoffs 49-3. And then I was fortunate to go to the championship game, and they beat Coach Breslin's Washington Redskins at the time 17-0 in the probably the windiest game ever. And then to go to the Super Bowl, and uh, the play I remember is the early in the second half, the Giants did a flea flicker from Joe Morris to Phil Simms, back to Phil Simms, and then he hit McConkey down toward the goal line, and they dominated the second half and wound up winning their first Super Bowl.
Yeah, there's Trevor saying, "Ouch, this one hurts, guys." Yeah, I know. We won't keep this on much longer. We got some other pictures, but please share some Bronco memories with us, Trevor. And Jody out there saying, Jody's got a question, but I'm going to ask that in a minute. Mark's got the memory of, and mine too, on this Super Bowl. I watched it at Mark's house with his dad watching it, and I remember the safety, us jumping up and down, and we were 10 and 11 years old. Mark, we weren't even 11 yet. I don't think,
Uh,
or we were like 10 or 11 years old when during this Super Bowl. So uh, it wasn't, we weren't very old, and we didn't, we were just getting into football, as you could say, and learning the game. So we got to see our first Super Bowl at a very young age,
I'm
and
I'm
a
gonna
memory I won't forget.
Kenny, I'm gonna tell you how much of a Giants fan, even though, and you know how much of a Mets fan I was. The Mets clinched the World Series on a Monday, the same night that the Giants were playing on a Monday night, I think against Washington, as a matter of fact. And I probably watched the Giant Washington game more than I watched the Mets win the seventh game against the Red Sox that night. as as crazy as that sounds.
The play I remember the most, I obviously remember the safety, but the one that always stays in my head is McConkey catching his touchdown.
Yeah, right. The deflection
The
off of
deflection.
Mark Bavaro.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
So I got another one for you, Paul. This is our second Super Bowl, 1990.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's our good friend of the show, Stephen Bakers, got his
Yep.
Super Bowl ring in this game, caught a touchdown in this game. Another memory I have watching this game was 1990. I remember I started watching this game with my dad, and my dad worked overnights. So I stayed home and watched it with my dad, only to be upset that he said, "I'm going to go lay down, and I got to go to work tonight." So he watched the second. He didn't watch the second half.
Mm.
I got to watch it alone in my room, but I get during this kick, and it was wide right. Screamed so loud it woke my dad up. So I'll never forget that part of it. But there's Myron Guyton, and I look at this picture, and I
Yeah.
look at this picture every time. Him and Eric Dorsey are the two reasons that this kick went wide right.
Mm-hmm.
Because if he kicks that ball straight, it's getting blocked.
Yeah.
You see
Yep.
that picture, everybody in the
Yeah.
audience?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
I don't think it was Norwood's fault. I just think it was how high Myron Guyton and Eric Dorsey's paws were right there, especially Myron Guyton, because look where the ball is.
Yeah.
Right to the right there
Yep.
of
Yep.
Myron Guyton.
Yeah. I see it right there.
Crazy that you notice these things, but that's a hell of a picture and a memory that I'll never forget. Wide right. Keith saying, oh, Joey, are you surprised you shut down K-Gun? What? That must be a typo. Keith saying, looking back at the game and seeing grown men cry as Giant fans, all that time they finally got one. Almost proud to lose that one.
Oh,
Absolutely, Keith.
yeah. People don't realize for Super Bowl 21, Giant fans who've been suffering for so long from the mid 60s until 1986. I mean, it was people think this in this era, it's bad football since the Giants won the last Super Bowl. That era was a lot worse. I can guarantee it because I lived through that much worse. Um, I know I've told this story. I'll try and do the Reader's Digest version for this game. I went to, it wasn't even a friend's house, it was a friend of a friend's house. And in the middle of the second quarter, the woman who was hosting the quote unquote party starts taking the TV that only my friend and I were watching the Super Bowl. And I'm like, what are you doing? Oh, her family had 5 kids and the other friends had 3 kids. So they needed a TV. And they gave us the small little kitchen TV to watch the Super Bowl. I was so pissed. I wanted to leave at halftime to go to my ex-wife's cousin's house, who was watching the game on this large screen TV. And anyway, I wound up staying. And when the kick went wide and the Giants won, I yelled out, "Oh crap!" But think of another word. And she said, "Oh, we don't say those things in this house." And I wanted to say something else to him, but I didn't. I controlled myself.
Funny. Jody's clarifying. Surprised we shut down K-Gun, the Bills' offense, Jim Kelly.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to say surprisingly no, because I do think this was the best defense I've ever seen. I know people say the '85 Bears. '85 I was 9 years old, so this was the best defense that I started to really follow defense and learn the game. This was the best defense that I've ever seen. Was the 1990 Giants defense.
The that was a game planned by Belichick, who felt give up the yardage underneath, but just hit them time and time and time again. Andre Reed coming across the middle, they were constantly hitting him, harassing him, not giving him an inch, and that was the plan. Let them have the underneath stuff, but just really hit them on every single play. And I think it wore down the offense of the Bills.
And you know what? I'm looking back at this picture and you see something new every single time I look at it. Just look at the effort that these guys put in, the New York Giants. If you look all the way to your left, look at number 87 on the Bills. I can't make out his name, but look at him getting destroyed on the end of the left-hand line there.
Yeah, yep. I see.
Effort. And everybody blames Scott Norwood, but I don't think any kicker would have made that field goal just because of this effort of the special teams. I don't think there was a chance that in hell that this kick would have been made. Just looking at this picture, it's amazing that you see these things, over 30 years ago, and you're just noticing these things for the first time. A couple comments I want to catch up on. Keith saying, Paulie, you might have to explain what Reader's Digest is for your younger viewers.
Yeah, that's true. You're absolutely right, Keith.
Trevor's giving us a short little recap of his memories. Super Bowl 50 was a blast, guys. Super Bowl 47 was very disappointing from the start. He didn't even finish watching Super Bowl 47. He was done before halftime.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, we had one of those too, but that was our Ravens Super Bowl, Trevor. And again, Ravens defense, top 3 ever. That defense was phenomenal. They could be better than this New York Giants defense, and I would not have an argument with it. I just remember watching the 90 defense being the same type of defense. So 41-0 NFC Championship game. We beat the mighty Vikings, and then we got destroyed in the Super Bowl. So my memory came the week before that, Trevor. So I get it. I get the disappointing, Super Bowls for sure. Got another Super Bowl for you, Paul. It's the catch.
That's the
one I'm going to let you take over.
Yeah, I don't remember that game. No, I'm just kidding.
So, obviously, I was down here watching it with my family, and you know, everybody says, well, OBJ's catch, this was the greatest catch ever. It was in a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You can't compete with this catch right here. Caught it on his fingertips. If you look at that right there, it's on his fingertips. And to
Yeah.
not make that ball hit the ground and flex like that,
Hmm.
incredible. Best catch in history in a Super Bowl, and I don't think there'll ever be anyone that can top that. And Paul, you got your memory. It's a great one because you were there, my
Yeah.
friend. So I'm gonna pass
I
it off to you.
Yeah, listen, the 2 weeks before, when Lawrence Tynes field goal in overtime beat the Packers in that ice bowl, the Giants won the championship. As the ball crossed, I said, you know what? I want to go to the Super Bowl. And this is the first time I ever felt I wanted to go to a Super Bowl game. And I said, one of two things is going to happen. Either I'm going to see the greatest team in football history go undefeated and be 19-0, or I'm going to watch the Giants win in the greatest upset, and my team is going to win the Super Bowl. So I said, I want to go. I was blessed to have been able to go to the game. It was just a whole incredible experience to be there that weekend, and arguably one of the greatest games in Super Bowl history. And like you just mentioned, the catch, the play that Eli escaped. It's ironic where I was sitting was in the same end zone, but on the Giants side of the field where Plaxico caught the winning touchdown. But when Tyree made that play, the angle from where I was sitting, you couldn't see that he caught the ball against his helmet. And for some reason at that time, they didn't show replays in the stadium. So it wasn't until I got back to the hotel and they started showing the replays on the highlights on ESPN and some of the other stations. I didn't realize he caught the ball against his helmet until I got back to the hotel. But just a phenomenal experience to be there. It was just unbelievable. Actually, a friend of mine, don't ask me how, snuck down and onto the field. And I don't know if you guys can see it. This is actual confetti that he scooped up and wound up bringing back to us at the hotel and gave us all a bunch. So I have it in like in a little plastic case. But yeah, just an incredible experience. Probably the greatest, I say the greatest victory in Giants history. And I was blessed to have been able to be there.
It's awesome. Mark's comment, that game was awesome, and Giants defense was crazy. Brady
Hmm.
thought it was going to be a cakewalk. Not that time. Defense punished Brady. He looked like a deer in headlights.
Yep.
Paul, let me ask you a quick question, because you're a big music fan. How was the halftime Super Bowl show? Is it as good as it looks on TV? Better,
Well,
or is it nothing to write home about?
I'll be honest. It was Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers was the halftime show. I had met a few friends and we were trying to hook up. So during halftime, he texted me to say this is where he was, and I went to look for him. So in theory, I never really sat there and watched the halftime show, but I was able to talk to some friends about the game itself. So I'm probably not the right person to have been asked that question, but nevertheless, I'm sure Tom Petty, if you're a big Tom Petty fan, put on a good show at halftime.
Nice, nice. One more Super Bowl in our memories, and I just put a picture up of all our famous people there. Tom Coughlin,
Hmm.
Parcells in the background, Eli, and it was our second coming of the Giants Patriots, and another one in our favor. And you know, they called Brady the GOAT. Well, Eli's got two against him, so if there's anybody that's can drink the goat's milk, it's Eli, right? So you know,
Absolutely.
another one in our favor. So hey, we're privileged to see what four Super Bowls, Paul. I'll
Yes,
take that
sir.
any day compared to some of our other teams. And I'll let you get your memory for this game in a second. But we got we talked about the first one in '86, people crying. If the Lions get a Super Bowl, those fans, those players are probably going to do the same thing. Our good
Hmm.
friend Carson, you know, hats off to them for a great year, but those fans deserve one. If any fans deserve it, it's them. You know,
Absolutely.
so. Uh, oh, there's Jody. I forgot to ask his question. No love for Dan Reeves. He wants to know where Dan Reeves ranks in Giants coaches. Well, you got to
Dan,
put Parcells 1, Coughlin 2. Somebody
Dan,
else, a couple others got to be 3 or 4. I would say around 5 for me.
yeah, Dan Reeves was a decent coach with us. We got to the playoffs his first year with him. He was not a bad coach. I mean, the Giants were in a transition at that time. They were they were going from the LT and Sims and Carl Banks era to Daniel Brown, Dave Brown, and so it was a funny time for the Giants. It was not a I don't blame him for the Giants going into a little downhill trend for those 3 or 4 years. But overall, I thought he was very good coach for the Giants.
Absolutely. Now, Mark brings up the name for Mario Manningham. Yep, the
Hmm.
catch. I mean, not there probably isn't 3 quarterbacks that can make that throw, and probably not 3 wide receivers that can make that catch
Yeah.
all in one play. And those two hooked up on that play,
Hmm.
and another one. It's like the football gods come down and just give these players superpowers, because you won't see these plays ever again. There's just a one in a million play, and,
Yeah.
and we got 2 of them.
The two plays I remember from that game, at least that are in my mind right now, the Ahmad Bradshaw, should he score or should he lay down at the 1 and let the clock run out and they kick the field goal? But his momentum carried him into the end zone, which I'm glad that's what happened to get the lead. And then I guess the last play of the game where Brady threw the ball, it must have been about 60 yards in the air, and the ball just seemed to just hang up there for as long as possible. And then it came down, and the Giants were able to knock the ball away out of Gronk's hands, and we were Super Bowl winners again.
Absolutely. One more memory I got, a fun one, uh, was the game I watched at Mark's house. Harry Carson, the creator of the Gatorade dunk, where he dressed up in the yellow uh,
Hmm.
security outfit to
Hmm.
get Parcells at the end and created that. And for those who don't know, man, that Gatorade bucket is cold, because I did the
Hmm.
ice bucket challenge a couple of years back, and that's just a small bucket. And can imagine a big Gatorade bucket of ice cold Gatorade going down your back. But hats off to Harry Carson for the inventor of it. It's a tradition that's still here today and will be here
Yeah.
for probably forever. I don't
Yep.
think it'll ever stop. So that's a memory I have. Any more memories you want to share real quick, Cole, before we get our closing thoughts in?
No, no, those were great memories and wonderful. Like you said, 4 Super Bowls. Hey, we're sort of right behind the Steelers and Cowboys and 49ers, and we're in that next tier. But hey, nothing to be ashamed about. That's for sure.
Why don't we do this, Paul? Before we do closing thoughts, let's do closing thoughts, and we're going to do this on Wednesday. We're going to have a Super Bowl uh, show on K&K, just dedicated to Super Bowl on Wednesday. But let's give out a Super Bowl prediction for those who ain't going to be there with us on Wednesday and they want to share with us their prediction. So closing thoughts followed by Super Bowl prediction.
Great show. Great job, Kenny, as usual. Thank you, guys. Everyone who participated. Eddie, we love you, big guy. I hope you like the song, and we it's from the bottom of my heart. And the Bronco guys, Mark, everyone, we really appreciate your participation every week. And do you want me to do a prediction now, or wait until
Yeah, you can
you
do a
go?
prediction
Okay,
now, and we'll do it on Wednesday too.
all right. Listen, we've seen quarterbacks, goats, get upset in Super Bowls, but at this point, I'm gonna go with this era's version of the GOAT, and until he is slain, I'm gonna go with the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. This guy just does what he has to do to ensure that his team wins, and I think it's gonna be a close game. I think it's gonna be a fun game, but I think Patrick Mahomes makes one or two more plays than Brock Purdy, and if I'm comparing the quarterbacks, I'm gonna take Mahomes without hesitation, and I think the Chiefs will win. Let's go 27-24 or 27-23, something like that.
I'll answer Jody's question real quick because I believe it is a yes. Was Phil Simms the guy who first said I'm going to Disneyland? I think it was
Yeah,
Disney. He was, right?
Dis
Yeah.
it was yeah,
Disney
yeah, it was
World, right?
no, it was Disneyland because they were in California, so
That's right. That's right.
but yes, Phil Simms was the very first one.
Echo Paul's words. Great show. Love everything about this show, and we're here for you guys. And you know, Paul and I come up with great stuff each week for you. And you know, Paul, you do amazing job as well with the topics, and you know, love every second of this show, and look forward to doing this show every week with everybody. We do have a lot of Bronco fans in our chat. You know, we got Trevor, we got Keith, we got Albert, we got Jody, we got Clayton. I love these guys to death. I can't pick the Chiefs for them. I can't make it a unanimous decision with the Chiefs. I got to go 49ers, guys. Crazy things happen in the Super Bowls, and this is going to be a crazy score in the Super Bowl. And you know, for those people who play those Super Bowl boxes, your winner is going to be 49ers 9 and Chiefs 8, with the final score being 49ers 39, Chiefs 38.
Wow.
A very high scoring game, odd score, crazy things happen. You're going to see 2-point conversions. You're going to see a safety. You're going to see a lot of weird things in this Super Bowl. And that's what's going to make it entertaining, are these weird things that are going to happen in it. And I think it's going to be a very competitive game. I'm going to go 39-38. But again, thank you everybody for joining us tonight. You know, go Giants. We'll do this each week. We got free agency coming up soon, followed by the NFL draft. Next week we can, you know, we'll put together something, and we'll keep doing this with you guys in the long run. So appreciate each and every one of you. We'll see you next time.
Have a good night, everyone.